Hello, YouTube. I had to go ahead and make a video about this. I told you in the last video that I'm starting a 1961 Fleer basketball autograph set, trying to collect as many as I possibly can. Although I didn't think I would get a few on the list for quite some time because there are quite a few really low population autos in that set because several players have passed away or several of them just haven't really signed any. So anyway, so I was just googling around and trying to see what 61 Fleer cards were on sale, and I found a link to go to the Mile High Card Company August auction. And I really just could not believe what I found on their auction they have up right now. So they currently have up quite a few of these rare 61 autographed cards. So right now they do have a Wilt up. This Wilt Chamberlain is actually autographed on the back, as you can see there. Right now, current bid is over $4,000. I bet you that gets close to 20,000 at least, maybe even a little bit more, because I think the one that's up on Heritage Auction right now, which was showcased at the National, I bet you that one goes for well over $100,000, maybe even close to $200,000 when it's all said and done. So this one that is signed on the back and isn't graded won't go for near that amount, but I bet you it'll still go for a pretty substantial amount, maybe around $30,000 or so. So they've got that willed up. Once again, there were probably only like 6 or 7 known autograph wilts that have been authenticated right now. There's an Oscar Robertson up. There's this David Gamby. He's a little bit rare. I think there's like maybe 20 or 30 of his that have been authenticated. I am currently bidding on quite a few of these, just so you know. There's a Richie Guerin. He's got about 30 or so that are out there on the market. Tommy Heinschen, who only has about a dozen or so that I found so far, registered in PSA and Beckett. So he actually hasn't signed very many of his 1961 cards. Not entirely sure why. Maybe he just doesn't like signing them. Let's see here. I'm trying to go forward. They've got a Bailey Howe. So here pretty soon. Okay, here's one of the big ones. I saw that and I was like, wait a minute. Do they seriously have a Phil Jordan up for auction? So Phil Jordan was one of the ones I think I might have mentioned in my last video that there was only like maybe one known example. Well, now there's actually 2 known examples. It's been authenticated by PSA. This is the second one. Once again, he passed away back in 1966, I think, and so he does not have very many signed copies of this card, obviously. And this is, like I said, only the second one that's ever come up that's been authenticated as far as I know. And you can see it's a new PSA label, so that's a little interesting. So I wonder if somebody had this just in a shoebox or something somewhere forever and have just now authenticated quite a few of these that I've shown you so far, including this one and including another one that I'm about to show you, which really blew my mind, even more so than this one. So you have this guy. Once again, I'm putting a bid on him right now. This current bid is a little over $1,300. It would not surprise me if this bid goes well over $3,000, maybe $4,000 when it's all said and done, because this card obviously has not come up for auction very often. And I think it's the next one. No, not this one. This is a John Kerr, who's also pretty rare. I think there are like 5 or 6 known examples. This one is so faded. And that's the thing about a lot of these cards that's listed on this auction. I mean, you can tell that these were signed quite a long time ago. Maybe most of these were signed when these guys were still playing or something. And you can tell in this one, because of how faded it is, I mean, that's a pretty old autograph, and all of them have been signed with like, you know, a small ballpoint or something pen. You know, obviously these are not signed with Sharpies or things that are usually signed with nowadays. But yeah, there's another one. You know, he's Michersky, he's out there quite a bit. But okay, here's another interesting one. Willie Knowles. This is a pop of about, I think, 4 or 5 total in PSA. So I think in reality there's like 6 or 7 of these that are known to exist. And this is a pretty good example. I mean, that's a pretty good looking auto for one that I think is that was signed a long time ago. Card looks like it's in pretty decent shape. Probably would grade at, I don't know, maybe a 2, possibly a 3. Yeah, right now, current bid, $373. I'm definitely bidding on this one. We'll see how that goes. Okay, and I think the next one is the... Nope, that's Dolph Schayes. Didn't want to bid on this one. Once again, like the Wilt, this one's signed on the back of the card, and once again, not a very, very faded autograph. So I don't know about that one. I may not bid on that one. But Dolph Schayes is also a little rare. He didn't sign very many. Okay, Bob Boozer. This is another good rare piece. This is another like pop 5, I think. Never many. So yeah, never many of these around. Current bid is only 83. I suspect that's going to get a lot more. I once again did put a bid on this one, so we'll see how this one goes. And yeah, once again, you can kind of tell. I mean, that was probably signed a long time ago. Maybe not during the 60s, but maybe like during the 70s or 80s or something. Like seriously, I wonder if this is like on a basketball equivalent of an Uncle Jimmy. Some guy that just maybe just had these, got these signed individually, and had kept them for a really long time. Okay, so this is the big one. I might have mentioned this guy in my last video. I can't remember. So 1961 Carl Braun. This is a pop 1. So the only one that I think has been authenticated ever. And so this is a white whale card for anyone trying to complete a 1961 Fleer autograph set. Most people didn't think you could complete a 61 Fleer autograph set for the longest time because no one thought that this Carl Braun card existed because he just didn't sign very many things for whatever reason. Is that even? I don't even think it's really known why he didn't sign very much. But there were not any known cards that he autographed until this one, I guess. And yeah, this one is in the PSA population now. You can go look it up, and it is the only one that's on there for Carl Braun. So I'm wondering if some guy had this for years and just held on to it and finally either consigned it to somebody who graded it for him or just decided to finally grade it himself and submit it to this auction house. But really, in this and the Phil Jordan and even some of those others that just do not go up for public auction very often, just really incredible finds. Even the Wilt, because there still aren't too many Wilt autographed 61 Fleers out there. So a really incredible auction. I reached out to Mile High Card Company and to see if maybe they can give me a little bit more information about how these cards were submitted to them. If they reach back out to me, I will update this video, and I will also update you, let you know how this auction goes. I'm going to try my best to win as many of these as I possibly can. Some of these may get out of my price range. Like I said, I would not be surprised at all if this one and the Phil Jordan goes for an exponential amount, because people have been looking for these for quite some time. Oh yeah, this is another really rare one that doesn't come up very often. Larry Costello. I've also put a bid on this one. So yeah, I mean, there are 7 or 8 on this auction listing. Okay, now we've ended with the 1961 stuff. But yeah, there are at least 7 or 8 of these cards on this auction listing that you do not see come up for a public auction hardly ever. So I was just shocked when I saw this. I almost thought at first, like, oh, no way, this must have been like either an auction that happened years ago and I'm just reading it incorrectly, or maybe it's like, there's no way that these are actually truly authentic. But like, double check the the certification numbers on PSA, and every single one of these has the image uploaded on PSA. So they were recently slabbed and added to the population report, and you can see every single one of these images on the PSA website. So these are authentic as far as I can tell. So really incredible. So I just had to do a video about it real quick. 'Cause even if I don't wind up winning these, it's still just incredible to see all these really rare 61 Fleer autos up on an auction house at the same time. And yeah, so anyways, I will update you on how it goes, and I'm going to cross my fingers and see if I can win some of these. Thank you.
Hello, YouTube. I just wanted to give a quick update on how this Mile High Card Company auction went. The auction ended this past weekend, and here are some of the results of that auction. So one of the big ones, one of the really rare ones, the Phil Jordan, that's a Pop 2. Only 2 of these known to exist and to have been authenticated. You can see the final price went for $27.24, and that's without the buyer's premium on this auction site. So I wasn't able to win this one. I just couldn't quite come up to that price point on this one. A bit of a shame, because I don't know if any of these will come back up for public auction anytime in the near future, but I just simply couldn't do it. And then one of the other big ones on this one was the Carl Braun. And here he is, his final price. Yeah, $22.97.64. Same thing, I just couldn't quite come up to that price point. I actually know the person who wound up winning this card. I was actually chatting with him as the auction was going on, and I was happy to bow out and let him win it anyway. I know he's been collecting these Fleer autographs, these 61 Fleer autographs, for quite a while, much longer than I have. I think he has about 78 to 80% of them collected by now. And so for him to win this one and add this to his collection, I'm sure it's very exciting for him. I'm glad he won. I'm glad I lost to him, I should say, for that particular card. So I didn't get those 2, and I know it's an opportunity lost to get those right now, but I just couldn't quite do it, and I know these may not come back up again for a really long time, if ever. But sometimes if you're not ready for these things to come up for auction or come up for sale, it's hard to get to some of these price points. And that's the lesson to be learned if you are potentially thinking about becoming a set collector, and there are certain cards in the sets that you're collecting that are really rare, really expensive. You just have to try and be as prepared as possible. You have to try and build up as much money or as much equity as you possibly can to be ready to pounce on these cards when they do come up for auction. And I know it's not always possible. I know things in life happen, and that's kind of what happened with me. But if you're serious about it, you gotta be prepared when these things do come up for sale. And yeah, I wasn't expecting these 2 cards to be up for sale as quickly as they were. I was expecting it to be years before I saw them come up at a public auction, but sure enough, there they were, and I unfortunately just wasn't prepared. I did win a few of these cards in this particular auction. I actually did win this Larry Costello autographed one. He too is a low pop one, not as low pop as the other 2, but I think his pop is around 10 or so. Larry Costello was not only a great player, but he was a coach that won a championship as a coach with the Milwaukee Bucks in 1971. He was their head coach on that championship team with Kareem and Oscar. He won a championship as a player as well, so he's one of only of like 12 or so people, I think, that have won an NBA championship as both a player and head coach. So I got his autograph. I won that one, and I won this Bob Boozer one. Bob Boozer, I think he passed away in 2012. And so, but he's still a low pop one as well. He's a great great Kansas State Wildcat player. Had a long NBA career, and in fact, he won a championship as a member of that same 1971 Milwaukee Bucks team later on in his career. So I got those two, relatively low pop ones. I also won the Richie Guerin one, which is not really low pop. I think there are about 30 to 40 of these out there. So I won that one. So I got those three. So I'm pretty happy with those three that I did wind up winning. Just couldn't quite get to the price points of a lot of these other ones, especially the two big ones. And then there's obviously the other big one, which is the Wilt that was autographed on the back. That one wound up going for $22,000, as you can see, because it was signed on the back. Didn't go as much as what the ones that are signed on the front goes for. Those are now, I think, going for anywhere between $80,000 and over $100,000, most likely. So that one, and there are a few other interesting ones that were sold at this one. The Willie Knowles, that's a relatively low pop one too. There's also just a display box. There's a near complete set, but not an actual complete set. So those are the results of the auction. I just wanted to give you an update on and let you see what happened.